Good morning, students. I am Mishifula Dama, and I'm here to do the presentation, PowerPoint presentation for the August exam-based presentation for numeracy and mathematics, DPP NM31 and DJPE NM31. Just some forwards for these presentations. Welcome to this August exam-based presentations for numeracy and mathematics 3. The reason is to prepare you, to give you a hint on what you are expecting, but not everything, students. There's no way I will give you all the questions that are coming in the exams, otherwise there won't be any purpose for writing the examinations. We are just guiding you. We wish you all the best in your studies. You have to be motivated and be on track with your study course and achieve the qualifications you wish for. My contact number is 081-24-290-74. I repeat, my contact number, if you get stuck while you are studying or while you are preparing, my contact number or my cell phone number is 081-24-290-74. Usually, I will say you can call me anytime. If you find me to be in the meeting or engaged or busy with something, I will always come back to you. And I say I always come back to you. So feel free to call me, except in the midnight. That is a no-no. We continue. You should expect some questions on working with numbers. What do we mean? In mathematics, all we do, we work with numbers. What are some of the questions? I may ask you to give me the names. Maybe I give you the symbols and it's you to give me the name of that symbol. Or I give you the name of the symbol and you have to draw or to write down the symbol. So you have to know the number names and their symbols. For example, if we are saying addition, what is the symbol of addition, subtraction, multiplication, division? If we are talking of half, 1/4, 3/4, how do we write it? And so on and so on. There are a lot in your books, so you have to know all the number names and their symbols. Square numbers, you should also know the square numbers. What do we mean when we are talking of the square numbers? The square number is the answer that we get when we multiply a number by itself. For example, if I'm having 1 multiplied by 1, at the diploma level, we read it as 1 squared, and the answer is 1. Then, what about 2? All the numbers that you multiply by itself 2 times, they are called square numbers. 2 squared is 4, and 3 multiplied by 3 will give us 3 squared. That's why it's called a square number. And then the answer is 9. You should know them by heart at your level because you will become future mathematics teachers. I know my square numbers. 4 squared, the answer is 16. 5 multiplied by 5. In short, we write it 5 squared, the answer is 25. 6 squared is 36. 7 squared is 49. 8 squared is 64. 8 squared, we said 5 squared is 25, 6 squared is 36, 7 squared is 49, 8 squared is 64, 9 squared is 81, 10 squared is 100, 11 squared is 121, 12 squared is 144. Students, just the same. You can see how old I am, but I know my square numbers. So when we are talking of these are the square numbers. Well, you should be able to tell which ones are square numbers, just the same as you know the even numbers, 2, 4, 6, 8, and so on. And odd numbers, you should also know what are the odd numbers? 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11. Those are the odd numbers. The same as you know them by heart, I also expect you at your level to know about the square numbers without even calculating. So, and prime numbers, what are the prime numbers? A prime number is a number that have got 2 divisors. It can only be divided by 1 and itself, so it can only be divided by 2 numbers. You should also be able to recognize them without much difficulties. Prime numbers, what are prime numbers again? Numbers that are divided by two numbers, only 1 and itself. For example, 2. 2 can only be divided by 1 and 2 itself. 3 is a prime number, yes, because it can only be divided by 1 and 3 itself. 5. 5 is also a prime number because it can only be divided by two numbers, or 2 divisors, 1 and 5. 7, the same. 11. If I say, give me all the numbers that can divide into 11, there are only 2. And not 3. There are only 2, 1 and 11 itself. 13, 17, and we've got a lot of prime numbers. You should know them, students. Cube numbers. Now, cube numbers are numbers that you multiply. If I have to write just the same as I wrote square numbers, cube numbers now, they are almost like square numbers, but now you multiply a number by itself 3 times. 1 multiplied by 1, 3 times, and in short, in mathematics, we say 1 cubed. That's why they are called cube numbers, and the answer that we got is 1. 1 multiplied by 1 multiplied by 1 is 1. 1 times 1 times 1 is 1, 1 cubed. 2 times 2 times 2, we say 2 cubed, or 2 to the power of 3. The answer that we got is 8. And then we come to 3 times 3. In mathematics, we've got our shorter way of writing things, or writing numbers. In short, we say 3 cubed. The answer will be 27. And then we've got 4 times 4 times 4. And in short, we say 4 cubed, and you get the answer 5 times 5 times 5. And then you get 5 cubed. Because 3 times you multiply by itself 3 times, you get the answer. So all these answers that you are getting, up to 10 times 10 times 10, which will give you 1,000, those ones are called cube numbers. So students, you should also know the cube numbers when you see them appearing in front of you. You should also study about rounding off. You will be given numbers to round off to the nearest 10, to the nearest 100, to the nearest 1,000 or 10,000. You should be able to know where to look in order to get the answer. The examples are in your books. Okay, BODMAS. The use of BODMAS, that's now where you get a sum, a mathematical sum, with many signs. In that sum, for example, you will get 2 times 3 plus 4, and there are brackets, or sometimes there is indices or exponents, and then you have to work step by step, brackets out first, the word of or exponents, division, and then multiplication, addition, and subtraction. You will find the examples of how to calculate BODMAS in your books. If you also look at some of the past presentations of the past years, you will see some examples where we have worked it out. Ratio and proportion. There is also a topic in mathematics on ratio and proportion. Students, you should know how to do calculations on ratio and proportion. How? You have to differentiate between the ratio. What are ratios? Which numbers do we term as ratios? Which numbers do we term as proportion? You should be able to differentiate, to make a difference between direct and indirect proportion, or direct and inverse proportion, and their calculations differ. You have to do a lot of examples on how to do the calculations when it comes to direct and indirect proportions, and then you should be able to use direct and indirect proportions to solve word problems now. Sometimes I give you a story, it's up to you now to do the calculations until you come to the answer. What are we saying here? You should be able to use direct and indirect proportions to solve problems in our everyday life. In your guide, when I was perusing through, you find the ratio and proportion on page 6 to page 16 in your study guide. Okay, ratio and proportion, it's just that I have to apologize, I didn't check now if it's a DPPE or DJPE, and I think at one point I was informed that they are the same study guide, so we are safe. Again, ratio and proportion, I just give you some examples. We say we are given 240 as a number, but now we are talking of 240 fruits. You are now given 240 fruits, and you are having two groups of people, girls and boys. Now you have to divide these fruits in the ratios of 2 to 3. That is the question. What is the question saying? Divide 240 fruits in the ratio of 2 to 3. Now, I want to do these examples because in the past, when I'm marking the assignment, when I'm marking the examinations, students, somewhere, somehow, they don't know how to do these calculations. For example, now you are given all the information. It's only up to you to do the calculations. We are having a basket with 240 fruits, maybe mixed or just the same apples or bananas or mix up. And then there's two groups. One group, let's say girls should get 2 parts of that, boys should get 2 parts of that. Yes? Now, how will we calculate 2 parts of the fruits? First of all, we say 2 out of, where can we get the denominator? We add our numerators together. What? We have to add our ratios together, not numerators, but we have to add our ratios together. 2 plus 3 is 5. And then now you multiply by the number of fruits out of 1, because we are having fractions here. We just create a fraction here, we put out of 1. Then you do your calculations as step by step. 5 goes in here once, and then in 240, 5 goes in here 48 times. Then you have to write the new step, because we have cancelled out some of the numbers. We are remaining with 2 over 1 multiplied by 48 over 1. Then the next step we will have 2 multiplied by 2 and 1 multiplied by 1. 2 times 48, not by 2, is 96 over 1. And 96 over 1 is the same as 96. That is our answer. So the girls will, if they are getting 2 out of 5 parts for part of those fruits, the girls are getting only 2 parts. Maybe they are less, or they don't want many fruits. The boys are getting 3 parts. That's what the ratio means. So to calculate now the parts for boys, we say 3 out of, again, the denominator, we add our ratios together, out of 5 multiplied by 240 over 1. Just want to make sure. Okay. Again, we take a pencil. 5 goes into itself once. 5 goes in here. 240 divided by 5 is equals to 48. Yes, we were correct. Now we rewrite our new numbers. We are only left with 3 over 1. It's no more 5, because 5 goes into 5 1 time. So we are remaining with 1. And then here we are having 48 over 1. We multiply a numerator and a numerator, a denominator and a denominator. What? We multiply a numerator by a numerator and a denominator by a denominator. 3 times 48, 48 times 3 is equals to 144. 1 times 1 is 144 over 1. Our answer is 144 fruits. So we have done your calculations. There can even be 8 marks only for that simple, easy calculations. Or they can even be 10 marks. Because in mathematics, each step have got, let's see, how many marks are here? 1, 2, 3, 4 marks. And here, 1, 2, 3, 4 marks. Only for knowing how to calculate ratios. Okay, I also gave you a sum where B, we are asking you 55% in a class of students in pre-primary school are girls. What? there's a class of pre-primary in a pre-primary school course. If you graduate, some of you are already working in a pre-primary school, but those ones who are not, if you graduate, you will work in the pre-primary school. Now, the story here is word sums now, where you are told the story, and it's up to you now to do the calculations. There's a pre-primary school, you have to understand when it comes to word sums, don't panic, just read with understandings. Understand what the problem is, what they want us to do, and then you do the calculations. There's a pre-primary school, and in that pre-primary school, 55% are girls. Because in each and every school, there are girls and boys. We are saying 55% in that school are girls. Now the question comes, what is the ratio of girls to boys? Now you have to do, I said, do this yourself, but now they want the ratio of what? Of what is the ratio of girls to boys? How can we do this? 55% is always standing for 100. If we are having 55 parts of 100, that means girls are 55, boys are, we take 100 minus what we are given, 55, then we are left with 45. Boys are 45. But with ratios, we don't stop there, students. You are losing marks because you don't want to think further. So you have to simplify. You have to simplify your answer, because that is just 1 mark. You are losing another mark. The answer now here is we have to think of a number, the highest common factor, the biggest number possible that can divide into 50 and 45. The only number I can think of is 5. 5 goes into 55 11 times. 5 goes into 45 9 times. Are we having any other number to go in 11 and 9 without a reminder? I can't think of any. 3 can only go into 9, but not in 11. 11 itself, 2 cannot go into both, and so on. So this is our answer. For 2 marks, you have to leave your answer in the simplest form. Okay, C, you can do it yourself, where they say they give you 6,880 Namibian dollars. Divide this in the ratio of 2 to 3 to 5. Now you have to do 3 calculations. Remember, the denominator, we add our ratios together. So it will be, first you have to find 2 out of 10 multiplied by the amount of money given, and then you'll come to 3 out of 10. Where did we get 10? We took our ratios, 2 plus 3 plus 5, and then we get 10. That will be our denominators. D, you can also try it by yourself. A machine print, you can read, and I've got no doubt that you can read. As long as you read slow with understanding, you can do that yourself. We continue. For this examination, when you are preparing, you should also look at simple and compound interest. You should know how to interpret the term or the concept interest when we are talking in mathematics. Because in English, if you are interested in something, you like it. But when it comes to mathematics, it's something else. You have to consult your books, page 20 to 28 in your study guide. You will find what do they mean when they are talking about interest in mathematics. And then what is simple interest and what is compound interest? How are they different from each other? Simple interest, how is it different from compound interest? How do we calculate simple interest and how do we calculate compound interest? Students, there are different ways. They use different formulas to calculate simple interest and to calculate compound interest. You have to consult your book, and I went further and find for you the page. They are on page 20 to 26. Follow those examples, and if such a question comes in, I'm definitely sure that you will pass. You should also know how to calculate compound interest on the money invested in the bank or invested somewhere, and you should also know how to calculate compound interest on the money borrowed. If you go to the bank and you borrow, usually they sit with you and they say, okay, if we are going to borrow you this money, when you bring it back after 2 years, we want this interest. How is it calculated? At your level, in your mathematics, you should be able to do this. and the page is there. Okay, I just gave you some examples of calculating the simple interest. I gave you the sum and then the formula. Interest, simple interest is P times R times T divided by 100. PRT divided by 100. P stands for principal, the amount you are given in the story. For example, if they say an amount of 2,500 Namibian dollars is invested for 3 years at the rate of 8%. Simple interest per year. Now calculate the amount of interest N. The formula that we use is simple interest is equals to P stands for principal amount, 2,500. R, you multiply by R, that is the rate at which you are investing. The rate here is 8%. You just put 8 there. T stands for time. For how long are you going to invest your money? 3 years. You just put 3 there and you divide everything by 100. I've done it for you. It's just for you to go through now. B, calculate the total amount. Again there, as you can see on the slides, I've done the sum for you. Just work on it and make sure that you understand what you are doing here. You should also know linear equations. There are equations, different types of equations, and I just want you to go through and revise and know what are the linear equations and how do we calculate it. I just gave you some notes there. I said an algebraic equation is a statement that has 2 parts and an equals to sign in the middle or between them. One part is on the left-hand side, another part is on the right-hand side. Then we call that an algebraic linear equation. The equation consists of an unknown number. Usually you will find is 2x plus 3 is equals to 10 or is equals to 8. For example, the one we are having in our slides, and that unknown is called x or it can be called y. Sometimes I can call it an a. We name the unknown number with the alphabetical number. For example, the example I gave you, the x plus 5 is equals to 12. I worked it out for you until I get the answer. We continue. I said solve the following linear equations. There are many, many examples in your study guide. Once you understand them, if you get stuck, give me a call. I will be able to explain. There are really some parts in mathematics where that are too practical. I will not be able to explain to you over the phone very well, but I always try. Okay, and then factorization, I gave you some examples. I explained in words how to do factorization there, how to factorize algebraic expressions. Go through it. If you get stuck, I'm just a phone call away, students. Okay, you should also be able to know how to calculate the area. Here, I'm asking you to know the formula by heart. The formula of calculating the area of a square, of a rectangle, of a triangle, of a parallelogram, of a circle, of a trapezium. You should know this formula. I don't just give them to you for fun. It's for you to know the formula of calculating the area of this diagram or these figures. I gave you some figures so that you try. Now that you know the formula of calculating the area of those diagram, I gave you a rectangle with measurement, and then you should now substitute in the formula that I gave you until you find the area. And I gave you the circle, I gave you the circle is here, and I gave you the triangle. And then you should know this geometrical construction. What do we use to construct what? It's in your study guide, students. It's just for you to read and then understand. You should know straight line graphs. We are also having graphs in our books. I said in your study guide, they are on page 128 up to 139 in your study guide. Go through and then just understand. Usually in mathematics, it's very helpful if you can study in groups, or you can ask the mathematics that you are doing. Teachers in your community, in your area, will also be able to explain to you if you don't understand. I just gave you the summary of what you need to know when it comes to a straight line graph. That is a Cartesian plane We call this a Cartesian plane where we are having an x. If you are given it in the examination, x is not indicated, indicate it. And the y, the vertical line is the y-axis, and the horizontal line is the x-axis. And you will see that on the right and above is positive numbers. Below the line and on the left-hand side are negative numbers. Very important facts to know. And I gave you, you should be able to plot. Now, the first number is always an x-axis. The second number is always a y-axis. If you get stuck, you will just ask your friends or call me, and we should know how to plot. In your study guide, the pages that I gave you, again, page what? Page 128 up to page 139, they explain in simple form very clearly on how to plot the points on a Cartesian plane. You should also know how to calculate the angles on a straight line, angles inside the triangle. Angles in the triangle add up to 180. That one you should know by heart. Angles in parallel lines. Find examples and solve them. Trigonometry, I also gave you what you need to know: sin, cos, tan, and their formula. Trigonometry, I gave you again the summary, the notes, which you need to read and then understand. Transformation, you should know what is enlargement, reflections, rotation, translations. Those are the four types of transformations. In your study guide, you have to find examples and solve them. And as I said, I went a step further on page 82 up to page 89 in your study guide. They will give you the examples. Students, as we now approach the conclusion of this presentation, I want you to use your study guide, to use the past assignments, past examination papers, past presentations. They are on YouTube, and I'm sure of what I'm saying, and all the textbooks that are used in our schools, in our community schools, that are in our community textbooks for grade 8, 9, and 10. Sometimes grade 6 and 7 will even make you, if you start there, will make you to understand better. What I mean here, don't confine yourself only on this presentation or only on your assignment. You have to read widely, find examples all over, especially what your study guide, past assignment, past examination paper, past presentations. They are on YouTube, and all textbooks for grade 8, 9, and 10. I wish you all the best for your upcoming examinations. I've got no doubt that you will all pass if you do justice to your work, if you study very hard. And for that, on that note, I thank you very much.